Welcome back, my beautiful rainbow children, to the Pot Smoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Pot Smoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Tanakh, of the Jewish Testament. However, I use the King James Version of the Christian Bible to put together the prophecy of Israel from the scattered testimony of the Old Testament prophets. It became the Book of Zion. And I found contained within it a set of instructions that I was uniquely qualified to undertake. So I did. And as the very last thing that I was required to do to fulfill the prophecy of Israel, I am to publish peace, which I'm doing right now on this YouTube channel and social media platform by reading to you the manuscripts of the two books that I have written. When I went to publish peace by finding a publisher, I was informed that I had to write another book because the book of Zion is entirely written in Bible verse, and I did not understand that I could not publish it in that form, which is why I wrote the Pot Smoker's Bible, which is a commentary and dissertation to the prophecy of Israel, which is the book of Zion. And today, I'm reading to you from the 27th chapter of the Pot Smoker's Bible. It contains the 24th chapter of the book of Zion. It's called In the Last Days. And here it goes like this. So, here we have the last chapter in the prophecy, what the end result of all our actions will be. And here we have the true reason for the entire book. We are heading for a disaster that we can't avert. This disaster is global. It is a planet killer without preparation. There can be no survival. This is our fated end. The last time we suffered from an event like the one coming was the fabled flood. There is enough evidence to suggest that it was no myth. The North American ice sheet melted, even as it has now, but it seemed to have slipped at once. The entire sheet slammed into the ocean bed, rocking the earth, and sending a tsunami so huge it destroyed everything and everyone save Noah and his ark. And we too must build an ark. But we aren't facing waters. Our destruction is said to be a fire that will engulf the earth. There is evidence to substantiate this claim. If you look into our geological past, you see that the earth has burned before, so our ark will be encased in mountains. Unlike pre-flood humanity, it was so corrupt that our fathers sought to destroy them. We are seen as being just good enough to be deemed worthy of survival. So we can build not one lone ark to recreate humanity, but an ark in every mountain tall enough to be exitable after the flood, after the ashes settle. Our modern humans have been found worthy to survive, unlike our pre-flood ancestors. The Grey project that a third of humanity will heed their warning and build inner mountain arks. These arks will sustain us for however long the earth takes to rebound from what is coming. And what is coming is going to be so horrific that only those within shelters can survive, and only a third of humanity will heed the warnings. You see, there is going to be an impact. The Earth will be hit by an asteroid which will ignite the methane buildup in our atmosphere. a fireball Earth. According to ancient Sumerian texts, this culprit is a planet called Nibiru. This mythical planet has an elongated orbit that hides it from view until it's too late to act. Whether this myth is fact doesn't really matter because we already have a very real asteroid on its way. I have heard talk of an impact coming in about 10 years, but even that may be a conspiracy. And yet there is so many near-Earth asteroids that it could have our number, so to speak. So we face a very real threat, one of many. We aren't just looking at a possible Earth impact. There are real dangers here on Earth that could and will take part in our destruction. Hazards that an intermountain home can help solve, but most, but not all, are geological. We face climate change, DNA damage, rising sea levels, tsunami, supervolcanoes like Yellowstone. All of these dangers are real. Our intermountain homes will address all of these dangers. Our bodies are fragile, but resilient. We are very sensitive to temperature change. We die at set temperatures. If we get too cold, we die. If we get too hot, we die. And people, we are getting hotter. The best known insulator on Earth is Earth. Our intermountain home will keep us cool. And we are going to have to stay cool. Any temperature above 86 is deadly over long terms, just as exposure to 35 degrees will also kill you. We only have 51 degrees to live in. The body can't cool itself under 82 degrees. So if it's 86 degrees during the daytime or hotter, it has to get down to at least 82 degrees. The average high in my hometown is now 88 degrees in the danger zone. For now, the low is well under the 86 at 66, but temperatures are rising. We are already in the too hot zone and must keep cool. The temperature will keep rising, however. We also face a disaster of our own making, which isn't so easy to solve as temperature change. We have damaged our DNA. I look at the children of this world and I suffer for them. Our race is dying because we poisoned ourselves. Our DNA is breaking down in America. 1 in 33 babies has life-threatening, debilitating birth defects. This is purely of man's making. Our unfettered use of chemicals has damaged our body to the point that we can no longer provide safe genetic material to repopulate our species. We are dying. We are literally killing ourselves to line the pockets of the corporations. Their love of chemicals and money is our dire downfall. We must therefore create a safe place to live and the proper nutrition free of all contaminants to ensure the healthy genetic code that we require. Our job must be to find an environment that isn't so polluted that it downgrades or degrades our DNA further. 1 in 33 children are born with life-threatening defects. We must reverse this trend. Our intermountain homes will provide us with access to pollution-free air, water, and soil. We can create a safe, genetically sustaining environment. We have time to correct this genetic trend. With a vital, life-sustaining environment. The children being born today can safely give birth to healthy children, but unless we create them a safe place to grow up, they too will give birth to more and more children whose DNA has been irrevocably damaged. The waters are rising. Our livable land space is about to get a whole lot smaller, and people are going to be moving in. Most of our population, the two-thirds that live on the coast, are getting inundated already. Every year, more and more coastal storms erode more beach. Soon the beaches will be gone, and the streets will flood. The water will just come in with a storm and never leave. Our cities are going to go under, literally. Sun Tzu's Art of War tells us to always take the high ground, so through the mountain go the victors. When our governments begin to sink under global climate crises, war is inevitable. A mountain stronghold is our best defense. Sun Tzu is the world authority on war. I'm taking his ancient advice and taking the high ground and digging in. And then there's Yellowstone and other super calderas. Yellowstone, or any of the 19 supervolcanoes, will one day end the lives of those unprepared. In America, Yellowstone poses a massive problem. Most of this country will be covered in ash 20 feet deep. To escape the eruption, we will have no choice but to go into the mountains. Most of the unaffected parts of this country will likely be underwater by then, so our population will one day need an intermountain shelter to escape volcanic ash. There is one more possible world-changing event that may require shelter, and that is perhaps the only threat that I find frightening, and that is unnoticed by most, and thought unlikely by science, or perhaps I just haven't found evidence of it, and that is an aquifer collapse. I may be just an uneducated nobody, but I find it much more likely that the Grand Canyon was an aquifer that than a melted glacier. It looks like an undersea terrain to me, not a riverbed. I believe that the aquifer under my feet, the Ogallala Aquifer, will one day collapse. We have drained it, and we now pile on more and more weight, more people, more buildings, more cars. How long can it hold up while the gas companies in Texas and Oklahoma hammer away at its edges? As soon as I can afford to move to Colorado, I'm gone. Nebraska and Kansas are death traps. If the aquifer fails, and its roof collapses, it will literally rock the earth. It stretches from South Dakota to Texas, people, much larger than the Grand Canyon. The possibility of this happening isn't as remote as you might think. There are cities in the desert uh, there was a city in the desert in Arabia, the Atlantis of the sands. It vanished in a day. In recent years, satellites have found that city, LiDAR. It fell into its drained aquifer, a huge sinkhole that collapsed. I'm sitting on top of just such a sinkhole writing this book. But I'm too poor to move right now, so I stay in harm's way until my good Ishi, and my good God Ishi, keeps his promise, and I am given a new home in the mountains, with a very large group of very close friends and family to call countrymen. And then I will gladly move to higher and much safer ground. So may the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. May they teach you right from wrong, and may you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Make that your guild choice when we get to Camp Zion. Stay happy and high if you use drugs. You have every right and reason to. Believe me, I know I wrote the book. My name is Zion. Love you way too much to say goodbye. So I'm going to say later now.